Hello, everybody. Dallisa here. Welcome to our episode for the overview of December. What in the world is December going to be like? I hope everybody had a beautiful Thanksgiving holiday. It's going to be a bit of a mixed bag when it comes to December, but I'm going to tell you my overview, and then I'm going to be bringing on Jasmin and Nura, and they're going to add some more dimension and flavor to today's episode. So, alert your friends and family and coworkers. We're about to do this. All right, everybody, let's get started. Okay, so for any group classes that we have coming up, make sure you go to spiritandSpark.com to go and check those out. The energy of November was very big, very bold. Obviously, we saw that play out in a few different ways. Please comment on the video and let me know, how was November for you? Here we are at the end of November. What happened? How did things get cleared up? What was revealed to you? Were there any surprises that happened in your life? So drop a comment, let us know. I read all the comments, and I'd love to hear how your November treated you, because now we're going to be talking about December. We are officially in Sagittarius season. And it's personally one of my favorite times of the whole year, but I am a Sag. But I just think it's a beautifully placed energy this time of year when we do have the opportunity to connect with ourselves more deeply and connect with other people. So we're going to talk all about it in today's video. First, I want to bring Jasmin on. Jasmin is going to talk about the full moon report that is available. It's only available if you claim it within the next 48 hours. You've got 48 hours to do this. Let me bring Jasmin on, and she's going to tell us all about it. So Jasmin,
hi guys.
How
are you guys doing? So I'm going to give out a journal prompt on the full moon. We're going to do December's full moon, which is in Gemini, on the 18th. And I'm going to have a list of affirmations that specialize in that Gemini moon in Mercury and the communication. And, what's really going to be moving for you during that full moon, and how to use it to, the best, use that energy to the best of your ability, right? To bring the best results for December. I'm going to write in a few affirmations that you can use, and then I'm going to give you some sections in there that talk about the kind of affirmations you want to write that are personalized, as well as just what this Gemini full moon means, especially with this month, and as well as some current transits that are going on. So, yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, so everybody, you got 48 hours. So it means you got today, tomorrow, and Wednesday. That's it. So by end of day Wednesday, December 1st, you have to have claimed this free guide that's going to give you the affirmations, the journaling prompts, how to really work with the energy of December. We don't like coming on here and being like all doom and gloom about the energy and how heavy it is. And so we like to provide you with real insight, real tools on how you can navigate through that. So let me show you where you're going to go to ask for Jasmin's guide. So you're going to go to spiritandspark.com, click on contact, and on the form, you're going to say, give me Jasmin's guide, or please let me have Jasmin's guide. And I'll make sure I connect you with Jasmin so that she's got you on her list. That way, when she sends out the report, you'll have it. So here is the visual on that. So going to spiritandspark.com, and click on the menu where it says contact, and then you're going to scroll down and fill out that form and say, I want Jasmin's free guide. And again, you only have until end of day Wednesday, December 1st to claim that. So don't forget, don't delay. Jasmin, thanks so much for coming on today. I appreciate it.
All right.
Thank you. All right, bye. Woo! Yeah, I love like journaling prompts and affirmations and how to work with the energy. So make sure you claim Jasmin's guide. I'm going to bring Nura on, Nura Rachelle, an astrologer. I'm going to bring her on in just a few moments. I thought before I hear what Nura has to say, I'm going to talk about what I'm picking up for December, and then she can let me know if she agrees or disagrees, see where we're aligned. Okay. So for December, a deeper dive between the energies of being a prisoner and being a pioneer, where those energies start to really create more of this divide. So where and where are you living a life that's really aligned with where you want to go, and where have you gotten a little bit off track? Really sitting with yourself and asking, what do I actually want? And this is the perfect time of year to start thinking about, what does 2022 look like? What does it represent for you? And asking yourself, who or what has been keeping you small, or what has been keeping you in the past, okay? There could be a strain between people and an inability to find deep connection. So there are some discord, some rough kind of sandpapery energy, best way I could use to describe it, where people might feel like their vulnerability is a little bit more closed down, or they're unable to connect in ways that maybe they once could so easily. And it could be even, disagreements or discord around the holidays and people's viewpoints and opinions and all that stuff, right? So I want you to ask yourself, to help you move through that energy, what do you value this holiday season? Who do you value? And how do they value you? And if you've never read the book, The 5 Love Languages, it might be the perfect time for you to read it. But I feel like there's a deeper questioning or curiosity around, what do you value, and are you being valued? Okay. The last thing I want to mention that they channeled through for December is to really look at the wisdom of the past. So what has 2021 taught you? What has the last 2 years brought forward to you as gifts? How have you handled the challenges that have come up in your life? What do you believe in? How do you give back, or how are you going to challenge yourself to give back? And the energy will probably feel a little bit over the top this month. So the importance of staying and being grounded this month are going to be key. So I'm going to bring Nura on. And then, of course, before we conclude today, I will pick our card of destiny. So stay with me. So Nura, welcome to the broadcast.
Hello. Thank you for having me. I couldn't agree more with a lot of what you said. So we're tapped in.
Beautiful. I love when we're aligned. So I gave you the big task of looking at the month of December, because I've looked at it energetically. I know some of the things that are happening and going on. And so where do you want to start with December?
Well, I'm a Sagittarius sun, so I just have to say this is my favorite month in general.
When's your birthday?
December 12th. 12th.
Oh, I'm the 14th. Okay.
Oh, I love it.
All right. So we're right there.
Yeah, makes sense. We're aligned. So Sagittarius is always expansive. There's always this looking at the horizon, but since we've had the South Node in Sagittarius since last May of 2020, we've been really looking at our beliefs, our perspectives, how are we looking at the world, and how are we making meaning off of what is happening? So there's so much, I think, that's intertwined with what you were saying about, okay, what have we been working through these past couple of years? Because it has been this sort of long-term, like, unraveling of our idea of truth and belief systems. And so that actually leads into, I kind of teased out because there's a lot going on in December, but the 3 most important things that I thought were happening. So right away, we have a new moon eclipse, which is a total solar eclipse that's happening December 3rd. And that's at 12 degrees Sagittarius. And I'll go into that more in a moment. But the other 2 things, just so you can kind of prep yourself, we're going to have Venus retrograde. So you were talking about values and love languages, right on with Venus, because that's what she represents, is our value systems, and also how that manifests in relationships. And then the final thing is the Saturn Square Uranus. So those are like the big 3 things that are going on this December. And then we also have quite a few planets stationing direct. So I think we're really going to see, just as a broad brushstroke, I think we're going to see a lot of things start to move forward that we've been sort of ruminating on for a long time. So I'm feeling very optimistic about it.
Oh, good. Well, that's good, because it feels like it's action-packed. And so it could be, you know, coming off of the eclipse that we had in November, you know, this month, and then we're moving into this next one in December. Yeah, and the Venus retrograde and the Uranus square Saturn, it feels it feels like by the time we get to January, it's almost like that. Okay, now what? Because it feels like there's a lot of things changing in December. Would that be accurate?
I think everything always changes very quickly whenever we're near the eclipse season, because eclipses, they accelerate everything. So after that full moon eclipse in November, we're, you know, probably still feeling that. It's said that we can feel the energy of eclipses like 6 months after the eclipse, but really like noticing what is happening, what is in the mind, like what's the situation basically that you're experiencing around the eclipse, and then look in the future of like, okay, how is my perspective expanded after that time around that issue? Usually we start to see the results, they carry through around the next 6 months after that. So the full moon eclipse and then the new moon eclipse. The new moon eclipse is really about just how it sounds, creating a new beginning. But it's from that very, you know, cosmic womb space, because it's a new moon, the dark moon. Like we are shrouded in mystery. And so that can bring up sometimes the fears around perhaps letting go of certain beliefs that we've really held on to, because that's what Sagittarius is. It's our belief system. And we can get really comfortable with certain beliefs, but it's like everything. We can only change in our lives so much as we're willing to, you know, make a different decision about what we believe. Like we have to be willing to kind of go into that dark territory and question everything, which Sagittarius really enjoys.
Yes, we do. I feel like people watching are like, amen. So comment with your amen. Like, yes. Let's do it.
Yes, yes. And really knowing, of course, where this eclipse is in your chart too. Where do you have 12 degrees Sagittarius in your chart? It's just really illuminating to know, okay, there's a new beginning being very firmly seated at this time. And usually it's with Sagittarius, it's a new belief structure. And I think a lot of times we're expecting like, oh, the full awareness is going to come on the day of this eclipse. It rarely happens like that. It's kind of like this slow, subtle, like, oh, I kind of have an idea of it's around this energy. But over time, and perhaps even, you know, the 2 week after that full moon that we'll have December 18th in Gemini, that might be when we start to piece together a little bit more clarity of information. But to just let ourselves be okay in the mystery, and just let ourselves trust that we will know what we need to know when we need to know it. But we have to be willing to be open, willing to receive. So eclipses are very fast moving energy, both backwards and forwards. It's very interesting. So since we have the South Node being featured with this eclipse, the South Node is the past. So there's a lot of very quick release of the past. So there might be certain belief structures that you've held on to for life that all of a sudden you're like, okay, I can let that go. It's like a fast purge. So any sort of ritual that you create around like, wow, okay, I know this belief has been really sticky for me. It's a great opportunity. I feel like December is the month of opportunities. Just let it go. You know, pray, meditate on like, how can I just release whatever is blocking me, and just watch and see how that actually starts to manifest.
I love that. I think people listening to this right now can see themselves in what you just said. But I love your remarks about like, you have to be open. You have to step into it. You are the one that's being called to do the work around this. And so I love that the energy is moving fast. And if you want to let something go of the past, set your intentions that you're going to allow it to go. Because if you're in like denial, or you're numbing too much and you're like, I'm not going to pay attention, la, 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 it'll be over soon, you're going to miss this amazing opportunity, I think, to release some of the stuff that's been potentially holding you back.
Absolutely. I read a really amazing anonymous quote, and it says, you will see the bigger vision when you're ready to make bigger decisions. And that really
sounds. I felt that one.
And Sagittarius is all about vision. So it's okay to really think outside the box. I think especially, and this actually ties into that Saturn square Uranus energy, where Saturn is how we structure reality and Uranus is how we liberate ourselves from outdated structures. So the square between them, this is actually, I'm kind of going to jump around with the dates if that's okay. But this Saturn square Uranus is Christmas Eve, or December 23rd if you're on the West Coast. But the Saturn square, this is going to be the third and final one of this cycle that we've been working through. We had two more earlier in the year, one in February, one in June. And if you kind of pay attention to those months, a lot changed in those months around the structure of our reality. We've been having to both look at, okay, what's working in the structure, Saturn, right? Like, what do we want to keep? What have we been handed down? Like, we don't have to throw the baby out with the bathwater, but then Uranus is over here saying, let's look at the future. Let's look at how our structure can benefit more people. The earth herself, because Uranus is in Taurus, like there's this sort of earth stewardship energy. And then the Saturn in Aquarius is maybe the technology. So how can we create new technology that serves the earth? Like that might be something that we're witnessing in the collective. But then for ourselves, how are we perhaps connecting and creating community with that Saturn in Aquarius, but then the Uranus and Taurus aligned with our own personal values? So we could see how this might manifest on a lot of different levels, but that's a big energy around, what do you believe about the structure of reality? And don't be afraid to think big. Don't be afraid to vision outside the box, because we really are the ones who limit ourselves. And I think that's what Sagittarius teaches us, to really connect with, like one of the natural laws of the universe is thoughts become things. Right?
Yeah.
And Sagittarius rules natural law. So if you're willing to put yourself out there and really experiment with how far your energy can go, like don't limit yourself. The world's going to limit you, right? Don't limit yourself. Dream big. It's okay if things don't always work out exactly in the moment the way you want them to, but it's that trust that it's kind of like if you reach for the stars, at least you'll land on the moon. Maybe it sounds cheesy, but it's true. You just have to go for it.
Yeah, I love that. And it feels to me, I'd love your take on this, Nura, that this third aspect, this third time that Uranus square Saturn on the 23rd, 24th, depending on where you live, of December, do you feel like this third time that we're going to embark on in 3 to 4 weeks, is that going to be like the strongest expression of it, where it's like the old versus the new, and maybe the people who have been like kicking and screaming all year saying, I don't want to change, I don't want to do what I know I need to do, I'm done, like just leave me alone. Do you find that this aspect will come knocking even louder than it has, maybe they've experienced the rest of the year thus far? Does that make sense?
I totally hear that. Yeah, I think well, of course, it depends on how you've been engaging with it so far. It's kind of like if you've already been doing the work, it's probably going to feel very supportive of like, oh, okay, maybe now I'm finally starting to see my efforts pay off. Perhaps if you're in another camp and you've been totally avoiding your work, it'll be like that final wake-up call of like, look at what's possible for you to create and liberate yourself. And also, I think considering the time of the year that it's a very pressurized time of the year anyways. Things tend to have sort of polarized extremes sometimes, like depending on, family relations. And by that time, the sun will be in Capricorn. So we're starting to think in a different way, and sort of connect with the sober practicalities of life. And we're already in that space of, okay, like, what do I want to envision for next year? So we start to get a little bit more practical at that time. So I think in any case, no matter if you've worked on this or if you haven't worked on this yet, it's never too late. It's really about, okay, timing. What is your divine timing? And you can't really, wake up to your potential too late. When you decide to take action on what's important for you and your values, you will be supported and you will be ready. And that actually really plays nicely into the Venus retrograde in Capricorn, because Capricorn is again, connected to our structure of reality. It rules the skeleton in the body, right? And that's the structure of our body. So maybe if you're thinking about this from a physical stance, like looking at the health of your bones and perhaps eating, appropriate nutrition to stay really strong and sturdy. It also rules the skin, like the boundaries of the body. So that's sort of like a health way to look at it. But if we look at our lives, well, what are we valuing, Venus? Perhaps around the structure of our relationships and how we are perhaps putting investment like finances into what we value, because there's also that correlation with the Venus in Capricorn, because Capricorn is very much about practicality, making a choice that is about sustainable resources. So it's not like a frivolous spender. It's more of like, I'm going to put this away in the bank so that I know that I have it for when I really need it later. So even looking at if you are really focusing on your finances at this time, being frugal, looking at the big picture of what you really need, and also perhaps, well, how can you support those in your community? Because the Venus in Capricorn isn't existing in a bubble, right? Like there's still the Saturn and Jupiter in Aquarius asking us to look at, the people in our community outside of ourselves. So I think if we look at the combination of all these archetypes, the Sagittarius is saying vision. What are the resources that you have? What can you contribute? And I think a lot of times too, when we consider our contribution to the community, we also feel a deeper sense of purpose, which Sagittarius really is seeking. A lot of times, if we feel that sort of emptiness, which sometimes happens in the winter, you're like, what am I doing? I feel disconnected sometimes. It's kind of like if you feel helpless, help someone. So that kind of energy, I think, is really strong right now because there are a lot of people who maybe are struggling with different things. So it can just kind of reconnect us with our humanity and seeing like we are all connected, and what we do matters.
Yeah, I love that. It reminds me of one of the points that I made about the energy for this month and how there may be a strain between people and their inability to deeply connect. And so if you find yourself in that camp this month where you feel like, I just want to isolate, I just want to be by myself, of course, like take care of yourself and your own self-care and all that jazz. But I love what you said, that when you help somebody, you're actually like really helping yourself. And sometimes when you feel like isolating, that might be an indication to lean into actually connecting with somebody or volunteering somewhere to help you reconnect with other people. So mental health, I think, is going to be really important this month.
Absolutely. And thinking too about Capricorn, even just the archetypal structure, it's like the mermaid goat or the sea goat, right? And so it starts at the bottom of the ocean. So it's very mystical down there, but then it rises all the way up to the top of the mountain. So there's this, sometimes it might be interpreted like a rags to riches story or just like climbing some sort of spiritual ladder even. So I like to look at Capricorn as like practical woo.
I love that.
If you make your woo work for you, if you make your meditations really, really grounded, really, really practical, you're going to be able to take them far. And Venus is she's stations retrograde in December. And then she's actually in Capricorn all the way until March 5th of 2022. So we have a 4-month stint with Venus in Capricorn. So really use this opportunity because Capricorn is also about utilizing your resources. Use what you have in front of you.
Wow, that sounds like a really lengthy, awesome runway for your dreams.
Absolutely, because Venus wants to make things easier. It's really about getting right with your frequency. It's really like honoring your attraction language, honoring, like noticing, well, what are you magnetizing and pulling into your life? What and how can you maybe, change that? Because retrogrades by definition want you to change something. They kind of want you to redefine or refunction. So usually this is with Venus, it's going to be around value. So maybe how are you valuing, your time and your energy, and where are you prioritizing basically? And if you can make it super grounded, because Capricorn is an earth sign, like make it about the tangible, the 3D, the here and now, and it will really, it'll be beneficial. Capricorn also has affinity with the first chakra, the root chakra. So any sort of meditations that you're doing, you can kind of pull from all these different places, but meditating on the root chakra, doing, even yoga poses that get that energy moving. I think I did this action, but this is what's coming up, do the spiral to get it all moving and get into the body and enjoy it. Because I think when we do that, Venus is really going to bring some joy and some reward in that space. Venus tends to make it easier. I say that with scare quotes because it doesn't mean it's always easy, but it's kind of like if you put the work in now, you will see the reward, especially come the end of this transit next March.
Do you, and I don't know why this popped in, but maybe when you were doing your little spiral dance, do you find under this aspect people get pregnant easier?
That's very interesting. Venus does have a strong association with fertility and, the ease of creation. I honestly don't know about that one, but I feel like depending on where you have the Capricorn in your chart, I think it's if you have some sort of creative project and you stick with it, then you'll kind of see the birth of that on the other side. So there's something about consistency, staying diligent, dedicated, responsible. So perhaps it could have that affinity with pregnancy, but also parenting. If you're a parent, looking at your values around parenting, those kind of things, or what are the values that you have in your relationship with your parents, because Capricorn has that strong affinity with, the authority figures and in our relationship with authority as well.
Yeah, and I'm also hearing to mention that it might be a really good time for people that maybe procrastinate or don't follow through on projects, but they know they want to get to a finish line come March. Mm-hmm. And it could be a really beautiful time to, join a group program or get a coach. I guess I've perfectly timed my small group offerings that start in January because it helps keep people accountable. But I hear from clients all the time that say, I procrastinate, I don't get things done. And, whatever the reason is behind it varies by each individual. But hearing what you're saying and everybody watching this, it feels like if you belong, or if you are in that bucket, or you feel like you've had to handle that kind of energy of not getting things done, but you really, really, really want to get it done, this is your window to have that piece of accountability that can help keep you on track for the next few months.
Absolutely. And I think any sort of group support is really beneficial for accountability, especially, but also to help you stay aligned with the vision when things start to slow down or get bumpy along the road, because anything that we really care about has its inevitable ups and downs when we're in the creation process. And so sometimes retrogrades can slow something down, but it then points you to the question of like, okay, I'm getting this opportunity actually to slow down. What a blessing. That means I can go inside, do the extra inner work, and really come down to this, okay, what do I really value? So that might occur with the Venus retrograde, but I definitely don't look at it as something negative, and it doesn't have to be heavy. Capricorn also has the association with fear sometimes. It's one of the expressions, not the only, definitely, but you're able to overcome your fear. Like Venus can help you be okay to go shine a light in the darkness. Like, just don't be afraid. Don't be afraid of the work that you might have to do. I know for myself, I have a Capricorn stellium. So sometimes I psych myself out because I'm like, oh, it's going to be so hard. So I'm just going to not think about that. So I'm going to have this Venus retrograde on my Capricorn planets. And I'm already prepared. I've got quite a few projects ahead because Capricorn loves projects. So for me, I've just made the decision, okay, I'm just going to focus on what I can do, baby steps, because you just have to keep putting one foot in front of the other. You don't have to do every single thing all at once because that's also not sustainable. I heard a quote recently and it was, you cannot sustain what is not yours. And that was mind blowing because it also helped release this external expectation to do things the way other people are doing it. It has to be authentic. It has to come from within you to be sustainable and long lasting, which Capricorn is about creating a strong foundation. So you don't want to do it as my parents would say, half-assed.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like, man, we could get to March and really feel like things are in motion. And I know that we'll be talking more about America's Pluto return and all that's going to bring. And we're already in quite the shadow period for that. But we just want to keep people focused on what's happening this month, as to not overwhelm anybody. But
Yes.
there's a wonderful opportunity that presents itself in December to connect with people, even when you feel like you might not want to connect deeply with somebody else, and being diligent and proactive about what you want to birth. What do you want to get to March and say, yes, it's out in the world? What is it that you want to work towards? Because the energy presents itself. Is there anything else going on for December that we want to mention?
I do think so Neptune stations direct December 1st. So that'll actually be the first energy that we confront, that we come up in December, which I think after, Neptune stations retrograde every year for quite a few months. And so Neptune stationed retrograde in June and moved 3 degrees backwards. And so now we've been kind of in this maybe existential crisis a little bit. Some people might be feeling that differently, but sometimes Neptune retrograde can actually bring you into the cave of confusion so that you can work those things out and then come out with more clarity. It's really normal to experience that in a Neptune retrograde cycle. So Neptune stations direct. And so that means any sort of internal confusion, you've likely done a lot of that sort of internal work with the subconscious and sort of unraveling subconscious patterns. So you can look forward to perhaps a little bit of release. But sometimes when we have a planet first stationing direct, all of a sudden everything that was in the subconscious floods to the conscious mind. So being prepared and not in a non-fear way, just, be ready. You might want to have a friend nearby that you could talk about, oh, wow, I've really come this far in my belief systems and what do I think is happening in the big broad universe, because it's Pisces. There might be some emotional release, but if you just welcome it and let it move through you, because it's on the other side of that is always more clarity. So that's one of the planets stationing direct. The other one is Chiron, December 19th. And so Chiron is the empowered healer. Some might know Chiron as the wounded healer, but I really believe in, let's switch that narrative, because we don't need to, encourage the woundedness in order to heal. But if we're in the empowered healing position, we can be aware, okay, there was perhaps a wound, but we are walking the wisdom way to get to the gift nature and expression of that. So looking at, Chiron has been retrograde in Aries, and Aries has association with the mind and our ideas, and also our ego, our sense of masculinity in a gender neutral sense, but that sort of yang energy of how we go out and assert ourselves in the world. So we might have actually felt with Chiron retrograde, like, ooh, how should I assert myself? What is the appropriate action to take out in the world? But Chiron stations direct December 19th. So you might actually feel a little bit more, oh, I can assert myself and I can feel safe to do that.
Wow. Yeah. There's so much that's when those two go direct, there's going to be a lot of momentum forward. But what I'm hearing to remind people of is that whatever emotions come as a part of the change in direction and the momentum forward, don't judge yourself for it, but to sit with it, honor it, ask it to come in, invite it to sit down at the table with you, and ask, why are you here? And get curious about what your emotions are trying to say to you. Why are they coming up? And what clarity do you now have where you can take those steps forward? But I love the idea of having a friend nearby, December 1st and December 19th, as these energies, these bold energies shift, because it might feel like a trigger that comes up for you. But to know that that's part of that release and that movement forward. So I'm glad you brought those dates up.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's very similar to inner child work, exactly like you said. Just invite them to sit at the table, ask them questions, just ask them what they need, these feelings, because more often than not, just the simple acknowledgement of oh, it's okay to have this feeling, it sort of takes the sting off. and it just moves through. And then I don't know, if you're anything like me, I always feel like Wonder Woman after I've allowed a solid emotional process to move through. I feel so much clearer. I feel so much more tapped in with my wholeness. So I think that's really the invitation as well.
Yes. And this is always in motion. This is always evolving. Unless you reach just complete enlightenment in this lifetime, this will be a process. And it's to really, hopefully, to be able to see it and be the observer of all of the magical pieces of the evolvement, the things that are moving. So that by the time you slide into home base at the end of your life, you're like, wow, that was amazing. Because it's going to be this ebb and flow. And I think December is going to be a big month that shows that ebb and flow and helps you move forward into 2022. Yeah, beautiful.
Excited about it.
Yeah, it was amazing. I've got your Instagram scrolling at the bottom of the screen along with Jasmin, so people better circle up with you. Did you want to add something else?
Well, I just did change my Instagram name. It's Nura Rachelle. So just in
yes,
case
I updated it. I looked right before we jumped on just to make sure I always look. Yes, so go follow Nura on Instagram, and then I put Jasmin's down there too from earlier with her free gift. What do you have going on? Where can people find you if they want to have a reading? So tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, NuraRachelle.com is the best place to find me for readings. I do sort of one-off readings, which is great if you just want to tap into your chart. I have foundation courses if you want to learn to read your chart from the ground up, which is really awesome. I do offer some advanced courses and one-on-one tutoring and holding space for mentoring. So if you have some sort of pattern that you want to shift, there's different length of containers. So that's actually been something I've really been enjoying is seeing people more than once and getting to really dive deep into the chart. So that's been really fun. And I'm feeling very inspired and motivated for 2022 and just for all of this energy that's coming up. And I feel like this December is it's just a place to get us ready. Like this is the time to really bring out the vision board, get it started now. Like you don't have to wait till New Year's to start getting these resolutions on the map. The portal is open.
The portal is open. I love that. The portal is open. Did you hear, everybody? Go grab a hold. Do it. Step up. Step in. Claim your power. Let's do this. I'm sure people are going to be commenting below, excited about what they want to work on and what they want to birth for these next couple of months. So everybody comment and let us know, what dream are you going to work on and birth? Nura Rachelle, thank you so much again for joining us on our December forecast. I'm sure we'll be seeing you again soon.
Yes, thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, thank you. All right, we'll see you soon. And happy birthday. Thanks. Oh, she's so great. I love having her on. I feel, after I talk to Nura, I feel like we can just take a big, deep breath, and that what may be perceived as a bad or heavy or negative energy, that there is a way to work with it. And it's actually all unfolding the way that it should, the way that it needs to. The universe does not make mistakes. And so I appreciate Nura's tone and helping us to move through what these energies mean and the gifts that they can bring with them. So I love it. Beautiful. I'm going to pull our card of destiny of what our December card is going to be. And just a reminder as I'm shuffling, make sure you go grab Jasmin's free gift, the moon report for the full moon in Gemini in December. You have 48 hours. I'll take it till end of day Wednesday, December 1st. Okay. So go through to spiritandspark.com, click on contact and fill out the form and just say, I want Jasmin's guide. All right. So before we close out, let me read this card to you. It's the Two of Hearts. This is our card for the month of December. The deeper embrace of self or with another is in the cards. Your soul is calling to you. Allow the past to fall behind and let go of that which no longer serves you or your life. Face forward to fall in to love's embrace, for now and in the future. Let yourself be the priority in all of your relationships. Partnerships of all kinds are favored, and each one will reflect the relationship you are having with yourself. It is important that you act from what you know is true for you rather than out of obligation. Follow your heart and express what is most important to you in every way. Listen to the call of your soul and say yes to love. Pay close attention to messages that come your way and to all interactions. Intimacy is the key, first with yourself and then with others. I think this card is so perfect, especially with everything Nura was just telling us about the energy of the month ahead, the Venus energy and all the relationship stuff. But as it says at the very bottom, intimacy is the key, first with yourself and then with others. So what is your relationship with yourself? What do you value? That's going to be at the forefront this month. Again, go to spiritandspark.com to connect with us, to look at our upcoming classes, to get a session, all that good stuff. You can follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Spirit and Spark. All right, everybody, make it a great month. Comment on the video. Let us know yes. Yes. If all you comment is yes, that works. But yes, that you are stepping in to what you know that you can do, that you're stepping into life. You're stepping into helping somebody else. You're stepping in, you're not wasting this beautiful opportunity to go bigger, to go bolder. I believe in you. I hope you believe in you. So we will see you again soon. Thanks, everybody. Enjoy your day. Enjoy your week ahead and month.